Hello and welcome back to the channel, Cali Legends Media. Okay, I'm going to get right into this video here. You guys seen the thumbnail? You've probably seen a couple of videos already. And a lot of them start with this thing about starting a racial war or a problem between races and stuff, right? And basically all this is stemming from a podcast that Blue Devil did, okay? And he had a Sureño on there who happens to be a brother, okay? I'm not going to use the term Blaxican. I don't know who made that term up, but it's a racial undertone. You know what I mean? It's just a brother that runs Sureño, and that's it, okay? Now, I watched a couple of videos. I watched one by I guess the creator's name is, the content creator's name is Spider Loke. And he seems to be a pretty level-headed guy. He thinks before he speaks and stuff. And I enjoyed most of the video. But there was some things he had mentioned that I totally disagreed with. But this isn't about him. I just mentioned him because I want you guys to go and watch his video. Go tap into his station. It's called The Black Box with Spider Loke. And he's a brother. And I've heard of him before. I've heard of his channel. I've seen a couple of his videos. I'm not sure he got this one right with Blue Devil, but he shared his opinion. And that's what these reaction videos are for. Anytime you do a reaction video is to share your opinion about the content, okay? And that's where it should stay focused unless you have a problem with a content creator, okay? And then you mention what that problem is in that case. But anyways, so Blue Devil goes online with his own reaction video to having the Southsider, the brother, on his podcast where something was said. What was said was that in the hip hop world, that the brothers will only take you so far. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know, because I don't really know how the hip-hop world works. I know this, though. I know that in the music industry, which is mostly controlled by the Jews, at least back in the day, everybody got screwed. And it didn't matter what color you were. If you were in the music industry, they were the ones making the money. And you got shortchanged. You got pennies on the dollar, okay? If you were the actual entertainer, the actual singer or performer, okay? Now, Spider Loke had mentioned, before I get into the other channel, the Viral, it's Viral something, I don't know. You'll hear it on the video that I give the link to in the description section, which will tell you more. But in any case, the one with Spider Loke mentioned that that even in their own culture, right, there's beefs. There's beefs between artists, and there's beefs between record companies and artists. And some record companies are owned by very high-ranking Bloods or Crips, or I don't know, but there's different people who control the music industry up in that level, right? And he had mentioned how, look what happened with Tupac, right? It happened to other performers too, where they get unalived, whether it's something in the street or something in the industry. Nevertheless, it's a treacherous industry. And he says it's true. Most record labels and people in charge of the record industry don't really like to fuck with the homies, he said, but for obvious reasons. Now, what do you think would happen if, I'm not going to use any rapper as an example, okay, but say a Chicano rapper signs to a record company who's run by the Bloods, right? And he's put to perform with some Crips and Bloods, and something happens between them, and dude gets unalived. it's going to, there's going to be heavy consequences, you know what I mean, and heavy losses on both sides. Okay, so that being the case, it's true, they really don't like to fuck with the homies too much on a grander scale. But what was being mentioned on Blue Devil's podcast when that comment was made, on the video that I attached in the description section, Blue Devil's reaction, that other podcast that was talking about him, viral something or other, the guy that was doing most of the talking on there said something very disrespectful. Okay, talking about like fuck everybody over there in Haters World and this and that and blah blah blah. Look, Blue Devil's been through this already with Whack, and he brings up Whack a few times, because of as an example, okay. But when this guy disrespect Haters World turn around and tell him, oh, you know what, fuck all you guys over there on viral, whatever you're at, whatever the channel is, and fuck you too. That they're pretty much tired of people acting like they're punching bags. In other words, the way he tried to handle it the first time caused them issues, and he's not putting up with the bullshit like that no more. He was like, you know what? Fuck us, well, fuck you guys. You know what I'm saying? Now, about this race war, I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening. Absolutely nothing. This ain't going to cause no race war. This is nothing between the Mexicans and the blacks. Okay? It's between Blue Devil and his podcast and that man, who had whatever his name was, that was talking all this madness. And I call it madness because that's not how you do a reaction. You don't do a reaction by talking shit. You do a reaction by bringing out the negative points on the other person's video and what you think the correct issue, how it should be brought forth, or something you disagree on. It's a disagreement, and you're talking about content. But this guy, he came out of left field and start talking about his culture and his people were disrespected. Now, I've noticed something about my brothers, man, and it's normal, it's natural, because of the history, for the things that they've gone through and are still going through. Just like us, we have ours too that have affected the way we think and feel about certain things. And you need to be very careful the way you say things with these people, or they take it some sort of way. They really do. And this guy's a perfect example. That comment made on Blue Devil's podcast was an attack on the melanated man. You know what I mean? It was a comment made towards the people who pull the strings in the music industry, and a lot of them are brothers, and it's true. A lot of companies are owned by the Jews and stuff, but rap and hip hop is mostly controlled by the brothers, and it's a good business sense to be very careful who you hire, because of what I mentioned earlier. If something happens between two artists or between the record company owned by one of these institutions, let's call them, and something happens to the homie, there's going to be a bigger beef. People don't want the drama. They got enough drama dealing with their own people. It's just the way it is. Spider Loke even said, yet you see it's always mentioned how the brothers don't help each other. They're always against each other, and they can't succeed the way they would if they were to unite. Well, how are they going to be worried about the homies or the raza when they're trying to come up and do their thing? You know what I mean? And for myself, I think the only thing I could really say, because I don't know too much about the hip hop industry, is to all the homies is, hey homie, get in where you could fit in. You know what I mean? There was something mentioned on that viral podcast that said a lot of people don't like to listen to the homies get down because they're talking about gang banging and you know stuff that like a lot of people don't want to hear. Yeah, there is a market for it, but you see the more successful rappers talk about other things in life, you know, and might include some of that in there. Very, very much hidden as possible, and it's true. I think that a lot of the reason why the audience isn't as big as most hip hop artists and rappers would hope, you know, although they do got a following, is because of that. You know what I'm saying? I think that right now, I think it's a growing trend, and I think we have some really good rappers. I know Rowdy Rax. That dude puts out some good stuff. I think he's better than Lefty Gunplay, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I like the way he speaks. I didn't like the way he danced at that one concert, but other than that, I've been watching videos on that fool gets down. He's hard, you know. Yeah. Anyways, all this being said, yeah, I don't believe that any of this is would even cause anything. How you doing, homie? Would cause anything like a racial riot. This isn't between the raza and the blacks. You know, it's just not. You know, I'm not saying that it couldn't evolve into something, which I hope it don't, because, you know, when two people disagree on a point of view, you know, you could talk on it, you speak on it, and they could respond if they feel it's warranted. Sometimes they might just ignore it, you know, and just like, whatever, you know, let him think what he wants. You know what I mean? But when you start coming out with the fuck you and fuck everybody over there in your camp and all that craziness, these two guys he don't know Blue Devil. Blue Devil don't know who he is. And this dude just chose to disrespect him. Maybe he heard of him. Maybe he heard something that's the guy that Whack disrespected, you know, and felt like he could go there too. And Blue Devil's just making a point, no, you can't. He's not taking it, you know. Anyways, I think it should have been handled a different way, but I think it should have been handled a different way starting at Viral Podcast. They should have, everything they said was okay. It was how it was said until it got disrespectful. And they started talking about, yeah, well, stay out of our culture and stop trying to get into our culture. Nobody owns the hip hop culture. You know what I mean? The raza likes it just as much as the brothers do. Yeah, it came from the brothers and Eazy-E back in the days. They were working with homies too, NWA and all these other guys. But it's not a black thing. It's just not, you know. It's dominated by the brothers, most definitely, you know. And some of the best rappers and guys in hip hop are brothers, no doubt, you know. But you can't take away from the homies. They're doing their thing, and you know, they're breaking into it and getting together with whoever they want, whoever wants to get together with them. They're not tripping. They'll do things with other rappers, with other brothers that aren't like Kendrick Lamar or any, you know, top-notch rappers. Anybody that they think gets down, they'll get down with them. A lot of them would. A lot of the homies would, you know. But making this like these titles that I see, like the thumbnail, my thumbnail, all this racial war shit, and it's starting. No, nothing's starting. You know, at least at this point, it's just two men having an argument and disagreement. I just want to say one thing though about the reaction video by Blue Devil. Okay. Now, you'd be crazy to think that Blue Devil wasn't already aware how this guy addressed his podcast and him and the people that are there on Blue Devil's podcast. Okay, if I had to guess, I'd put all my money that somebody sent him a clip of that. Okay, because somebody obviously, he says that it came, I think, from IG or from another, another type of social media, not YouTube, and they sent him a clip of that guy speaking, and he probably was like, "Oh, really? All right," and then checked out, what was being said along the way, and when that part, but he was already pissed, man. Blue Devil seems to take it easy unless he tightens up when he gets pissed off. It seems like he speaks different, and he already knew that was coming. I didn't know what was said, but I knew something was in the mix. And when I heard it come out, I'm like, oh, well, that explains everything, So, Spider Loc kind of stressed the point that Blue Devil disrespected the melanin community by saying what he said. Wow, that'd be pretty crazy, man, if somebody could really believe that, He made a comment, and it would apply to whoever it applied to in the music industry that does that, And apparently this guy that was speaking on the viral podcast isn't even part of that industry, but decided to to kick up dust, and to come at somebody like that. During Blue Devil's podcast, with the homie, the Sureño, the brother, it's just conversation. It's just done, in conversation. There was a problem with it, then he should have reacted to the content, not reacted like the whole race and in the United States was disrespected. No, it wasn't like that. And yeah, this is crazy. And I know that a lot of it has to do with the wax situation. He tried to handle the wax situation in a way that wasn't appreciated. So with this guy putting that out there, and already a lot of people seen it, he was probably like, fuck that. This shit ain't gonna happen no more. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but right now there's nothing brewing except for what this guy makes brew from viral, and however Blue Devil responds, and then from there, I guess whatever happens. But that'd be a pretty weak excuse, man, for a racial war, man. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, it is what it is. It's just YouTube, it's social media. And yeah, I think Spider Loc and Blue Devil kind of like pointed the finger, like, yeah, maybe Blue Devil said maybe this dude on the viral podcast was trying to get views or numbers or something, clout, or I don't know. And then Spider Loc said, well, maybe that's why Blue Devil said what he said. Maybe he was trying to get views and steer the pot and blah, blah, blah. It's social media, you know what I mean? I just hate to see that narrative, race war and it's starting and all of this stuff. Santo G made another video talking about this. I would suggest you go over and check out his channel. Check out this video that he made. But I will put in the description section the name of the video and how to link up with it. So thanks for watching, everybody, and yeah, stay safe, people, man. Stay safe, make good decisions, stay out from behind them walls, just even stay out of the court system. That's where it all begins, God bless you, God bless your family. Thank you for watching, and yeah, it just dawned on me right now that anytime I make a video and it has to do with my melanated brothers, man, they'll always take something I said that I'm being racist, or You know, oh, look at this fat motherfucker's talking shit. Or this isn't to talk shit about none of these platforms. You know what I mean? Go check all of them out. You know what I mean? I don't care. I'm responding because of the reaction that it's getting from social media about, you know, like, oh, here it comes. You know, nah, nothing's coming like that unless something happens in the future that would warrant that. You know, this is just two men on two different podcasts having a heated argument. It's past conversation and debate already, but it is what it is. You know. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you on the next one. Don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you very much.